she offered me 10 times the salary Dylan had been paying me and gave me a villa. I was finally able to move out of my dilapidated rental apartment. Many of my clients had been shocked to learn that a high-profile lawyer like me lived in such a rundown place. I always brushed it off, saying I was a minimalist and didn't care about material things. The truth was, I had willingly taken a junior-level salary so that Dylan's firm could grow. At first, he had been grateful, but over time, he came to see it as his due. Once when the heating in my apartment broke, in the middle of winter, I asked him for money to replace it. He called me extravagant, said I had changed, that I was only after his money. For Audrey, he would buy a sprawling mansion without a second thought. Even our dog's house had heating. The day I was moving, I ran into Dylan and Audrey. They were with his parents, a happy family of 4, enjoying a meal at a fancy restaurant. I frowned for a second. I remembered the first time I had gone to his house. I had arrived with armfuls of gifts, but his parents had served me a table full of leftovers. When I awkwardly suggested we all go out to eat, they accused me of being a gold digger, of mooching off their son, and developing wasteful habits. In the end, I had to cook for the entire family. After I prepared a full meal, his mother had thrown down her chopsticks, complaining my food was too salty. She'd said only laborers ate such salty food, that it was what she'd expect from someone with my rural background. The gifts I had brought them ended up in the hands of the building's cleaning lady. Compared to this scene, I felt like a complete clown. Dylan's parents were enthusiastically piling food onto Audrey's plate. Audrey and our Dylan are just perfect for each other. His mother gushed, if you hadn't been tricked by that other man all those years ago, you two would never have missed your chance. I think the time is right now. You two should just get together. His father chimed in. Exactly. Audrey has already landed several big clients for Dylan since joining the firm. She has a bright future ahead of her. Not like that useless Jenna, who is only good for cooking and cleaning. I trembled with rage. I had been the one to land those clients. Dylan had just credited them to Audrey's name, and money I earned had practically kept the entire firm afloat. But Dylan had never once praised me. Instead, he constantly belittled me, saying I was only successful because of the platform his firm provided. And now, faced with his parents' slander, he said nothing to defend me. He just sighed and said, we've been together for so long, I guess I'll just make do. My heart plummeted. All these years to him, I was just someone to make do with. His mother, however, was not satisfied with his answer. Dylan, I'm telling you that Jenna is bad luck. Just look at how her parents died so young. Marrying her will bring you nothing but trouble. Dylan didn't respond, but I was already overwhelmed by tears. My parents had died giving blood to save his. Years ago, his parents were in a car accident and were in critical condition. My parents, who had a matching blood type, didn't hesitate to donate, but they needed more blood than my parents could safely give. Dylan had been a sobbing mess. My parents, knowing how much I loved him, secretly donated more blood than their bodies could handle. In the end, his parents were saved, but mine passed away. The Anderson family had been consumed with guilt, at first promising to compensate me for my loss, but the compensation never came. Instead, I became the bad luck they whispered about. I couldn't bear to listen to their vile talk any longer. I turned to leave. Tears blurred my vision as I hurried away from the restaurant. The Andersons' cruel words echoing in my ears. My parents had given their lives to save his family, and this was how they repay me, calling me bad luck, dismissing my years of devotion as making do, stealing the credit for my work. To praise Audrey, the weight of a decade of betrayal crashed over me. But this time I didn't crumble. I wiped my tears, straightened my shoulders, and kept walking. My new life was waiting, and I wasn't going to let them drag me back into their darkness. That evening, I settled into my new villa, somewhat spacious, with a kitchen that didn't leak and heating that actually worked. My best friend Leela brought over wine and takeout, sitting across from me as I recounted the restaurant encounter. They're monsters, she said, her voice tight with anger. Dylan knows what your parents did. He was there. How could I let them talk about you like that? I shrugged, swirling the wine in my glass, because he never cared. Not really, I was convenient. Someone who worked herself to the bone for his firm, took his nonsense, never asked for anything in return. Audrey's the one he's always wanted. She's shiny, she's easy. She doesn't remind him of the debt he owes me. Leela leaned forward. You know what this means, right? They're not going to let you go quietly. Dylan's ego can't handle you leaving, especially not to Frave. And Audrey, she's threatened by you. You're the one who built that firm with him. You're the one who has the respect of every client, every judge in the city. She's just a placeholder. I nodded. I thought of that too. Dylan's countdown was still ticking on social media. Day 2 with a passive-aggressive post. Some people don't know when to hold on and when to let go. I've always been generous, but even I have limits. His followers, most of whom were clients or colleagues, dependent on his firm, flooded the comments with support. She's making a mistake. Come back to him, Jenna. No one else will ever love you like he does. Audrey chimed in too, posting a photo of her and Dylan at the pool hall, captioned, sometimes life brings you back to where you belong. Grateful for second chances. Dylan liked it immediately and added a third, fourth, fifth, whatever it takes. Worth it. I ignored the posts, throwing myself into my new job. Leo's firm specialized in pro bono cases, domestic violence, wrongful termination, housing discrimination, and it felt like coming home. 4 years, I'd handled high-stakes corporate lawsuits for Dylan, making millions for the firm while barely scraping by myself. Now I was using my skills to help people who needed it, and it gave me a purpose I never felt before. Within a month, I'd won 3 major cases, including a wrongful death suit that had been dragging on for years. The local news covered it, interviewing me outside the courthouse. This case was personal, I said, looking directly into the camera. Everyone deserves justice, no matter who they are, no matter how powerful the other side is. That night my phone rang. It was Dylan. I hesitated, then answered, curious to hear what he had to say. Congratulations on the case, he said, his voice unnaturally smooth. You always were good at that, fighting for the underdog. Shame you wasted it on pro bono work when you could be making real money. I laughed. Real money? You mean the money you stole from me? The clients I landed, the cases I won, the raises I never got because I volunteered to take a cut so your firm could grow. There was a sharp intake of breath on the other end. That's not fair, Jana. You agreed to that salary and I gave you a platform. You wouldn't be where you are without me, where I am now, in a firm that values me, pays me what I'm worth, lets me sleep at night, knowing I'm not enabling a narcissist. Yeah, I have you to thank for that. You pushed me out and now I'm thriving. Silence. Then his voice turned cold. You think this is over? You think you can just walk away from 10 years? From everything we built? We didn't build anything, Dylan. You built a firm on my back and you're letting Audrey reap the rewards. My parents built your family's second chance with their lives and you repay me by calling me bad luck. This was over the first time you canceled our wedding. Oh, for the 67th time. Over when you married Audrey just to spite me. It wasn't to spite you, he snapped. Audrey needed help. Her ex-husband was threatening her. The marriage license was a legal formality, a way to protect her. I told you that. Protect her by marrying her. You're a lawyer, Dylan. There are 100 other ways to protect someone without getting married. You did it because you wanted to, because you've always wanted her, and you finally had an excuse to leave me. He didn't deny it. Instead, he said the countdown ends tomorrow. Post an apology. Jenna, admit you overreacted. Say you're sorry for embarrassing Audrey, and I'll fix this. We can get married just like we planned. I'll fire Audrey, give you back your old job, double the salary, everything you want. I laughed again, a bitter, joyless sound. Everything I want my parents back. I want 10 years of my life back. I want you to admit you used me, that you lied to me, that you never loved me. You can't give me any of that. So keep your job, keep your wife, keep your sad little countdown. I'm not coming back. I hung up, blocking his number. I thought that would be the end of it, but I was wrong. The next morning, I arrived at the firm to find a crowd of reporters waiting outside. Miss Carter, is it true you stole clients from Dylan Anderson's firm?